They say some doors, once opened, can never be closed. And some men, once taken, are never meant to return. But one night, in the quiet village of Omu, the impossible happened. The villagers still speak of Tund, son of Adateo, a hunter of no great fame, but with a curious heart. He walked the forests not just for meat and pelts, but for whispers, tales the trees might tell if one walked long enough and listened hard enough. One harmattan season, Tund ventured beyond the hills of Ogun's Bend. He had heard of a forbidden grove, cloaked in mist, where no fire would light and no echo returned. He did not come back. His mother wailed for weeks. His father grew silent. His brother poured libation at dawn and dusk. But after 7 moons, the elders declared him gone, not dead, but taken. They whispered of spirits, of the world behind the veil. 10 years passed. Children born the year Tund vanished were now chasing goats barefoot. His mother's hair had turned silver. His brother now sat among the elders. Then one evening, just as the sky burned orange and crows began their low, croaky songs, a figure appeared at the edge of the village. Tall, cloaked in dust, eyes like storm clouds. It was Tund. Alive. Or something that looked like him. He walked with purpose, yet as though remembering how. His voice, when he spoke, was low, distant, like wind echoing through old drums. His mother wept and ran to him. But when she touched his skin, she shivered. It was cold. Cold like stone left in the river's heart. From the moment he returned, the village changed. Dogs would not go near him. Babies cried in his presence. At night, strange symbols appeared in the sand outside the elders' huts. And though Tund smiled and greeted everyone, no one could recall what he had said after he walked away. He told no tale of where he'd been. Not at first. But one night, under a blood moon, he spoke. I walked the lands where time sleeps, he said. Where drums beat beneath the soil, and rivers flow backwards. I met the watchers at the gate. They marked me. They sent me back. He looked up. His eyes glowed faintly. But not alone. Old Baba Ifa, the oldest man in the village, half blind, half spirit himself, called a secret gathering. He is not just Tund, Baba said, voice trembling. He bears the scent of the underworld. Something clings to him, watches through his eyes. If we do nothing, it will not end with his return. But the villagers were divided. He is our son, his mother cried. He brought no harm, others said. But the land grows restless, murmured the farmers. The crops wilt. The water tastes like ash. They debated deep into the night. And then, a scream. From the chief's compound. The body of the youngest wife lay cold, her face twisted in a silent scream. No wound. No blood. Just 2 faint black handprints across her chest, burned into her skin. The village descended into panic. The elders gathered once more, this time in the sacred grove of ancestors, beneath the twisted iroko tree. Smoke curled from clay pots. Incantations filled the night. Baba Ifa spoke again, but this time his voice trembled not from age, but fear. That mark, he said, is not just a sign. It is a claim. The spirit that came back with Tund has chosen its first offering. Some believed the old man. Others said fear was clouding reason. But no one could ignore what followed. Chickens found dead, eyes white, necks unbroken. Drums heard deep in the night, though no one played them. Children waking up speaking in tongues they forgot by morning. Tund stopped sleeping. He would sit under the moonlight, staring at nothing. His brother, Dapo, confronted him. You must speak, Tund. What truly happened in the land beyond? Tund looked up, voice like a rusted hinge. It is not a place with roads. It is not a place with light. The longer you stay, the more you forget your name. The only way to return is with a guide. Mine asked for payment. What payment? Dapo demanded. Tund didn't blink. A soul, for every moon that passes, until I go back. Dapo's blood ran cold. Then we must send you back. Tund smiled, soft, sorrowful, and terrifying. You cannot. The gate is open now. Storms came though the skies were clear. Flames refused to catch on wood. Dreams bled into waking life. Then one day, the river, sweet and sacred, turned black. The fish floated dead, their scales etched with strange markings. That night, the villagers heard laughter. Not human. Not from any mouth known to man. It echoed from the well. Baba Ifa stood before the village for one last warning. Prepare yourselves. The man who returned is no longer your son. The next moon brings the reckoning. He is the gate now. And what waits beyond him is coming. The village of Omu sat heavy in dread. The air had grown too thick to breathe. The animals had vanished into the bush. Even the crows no longer called at dawn. Then, as the sun died behind the hills, bleeding orange into the trees, a stranger arrived. She wore no armor, carried no blade. Her cloak was the color of rusted earth. Her staff was a single bone-white branch, etched with carvings older than the oldest tongue. Her name was Araju. She came on foot, alone. And the moment her feet touched the village soil, the wind changed. It bent around her. It obeyed her. The elders gathered in silence. Araju stood before them, calm and unblinking. Tund watched from afar, his face unreadable, his eyes like still water over a bottomless pit. Baba Ifa rose to speak, but Araju raised a hand. She spoke in a voice that was not loud, but all-encompassing. The gate is open. The tether between your world and theirs grows weaker by the hour. The soul you call Tund is fading. Something else is blooming inside him. She closed her eyes and traced a circle in the dirt with her staff. The flames from the village fire bent toward her. And within them, a face appeared, half shadow, half smoke. That, she said, is the one who waits. The face in the flames smiled, then dissolved. Araju turned to Baba Ifa. I have seen this spirit before. It feeds on forgotten names and broken promises. It is called Egbaragen, the shadow binder. It must be severed from the host, before the next moonrise. Or it will devour not just him, but the land itself. The villagers prepared a sacred circle in the forest clearing, deep where the earth still remembered its first song. Drums were forbidden. Words had to be spoken backwards. Fire was not to be lit with hands, only with breath and leaf. Araju drew sigils in salt and palm oil, her staff glowing faintly under the starlight. Tund was brought forward, his face calm, but his shadow twitched of its own accord. He laughed, gently. You think she can save you? Araju didn't flinch. I'm not here to save them, she said. I'm here to break you. Then she drove her staff into the ground. And the earth shuddered. Above them, the stars flickered. The trees moaned. And the wind carried a voice that came from nowhere. You should not have come, woman of light. Araju's eyes turned white. I walk between worlds. And I do not fear the dark. Night fell heavy, like a lid closing over a drum. The sacred circle in the forest clearing pulsed with strange light, white salt lines glowing blue, the carved runes on Araju's staff humming like low thunder. Tund stood at the center. Or what remained of him. His body twitched with each gust of wind. His veins darkened, bulging like roots beneath his skin. His voice, when he spoke, came doubled, his and another, deeper one. You think the light can hold me? It hissed. I was old when the stars were young. Araju did not respond with words. She struck the earth with her staff, boom, and a shockwave rippled through the trees. The spirits of the land stirred. Owls screamed. Leaves withered in seconds. From Tund's shadow it emerged. Tall, twisted, horned, cloaked in smoke and ash. Its face, a blur of mouths. Its limbs moved like broken bones learning to walk. Egbaragen had stepped through. The battle was not of blade and blood, but spirit and will. Araju raised her hands and spoke the ancient tongue. What cannot be broken must shatter. What cannot shatter must break. The runes on her staff flared, casting blinding light. Egbaragen shrieked, recoiling, but its tendrils lashed out, striking Araju's chest, hurling her backward. She hit the earth hard. Tund screamed in agony, trapped within the cage of his own body. The villagers, hidden behind the sacred line, watched in terror. But none dared step forward. Araju rose slowly, blood trickling from her lip. Her eyes were blazing white now, her feet no longer touched the ground. She began to chant. Not loudly, softly, rhythmically, like a lullaby to the gods. And then, from the staff's tip, a beam of ancestral energy shot forth, pure, blinding, blue-white light, piercing the shadow's center. It convulsed, screamed in 100 voices. Then, it laughed. You bring light, but no names. Without names, your light is hollow. It lunged. The shadow engulfed Araju, drowning her in darkness. The forest seemed to disappear. Only her staff's glow remained, a pale heartbeat against the tide. Araju gasped, her voice inside the void. Then I will call its name. She slammed her hand to her chest, whispering the name of power hidden in her soul. Child of Earth. Child of command. Bearer of the Creator's task. With that cry, a burst of light exploded outward, not from the staff, but from Araju herself. It tore through the shadow, ripping layers from it like cloth in a storm. Egbaragen howled, its form unraveling. No. You cannot unmake me. But Araju stepped forward, her voice now layered with those of the ancestors, 1,000 strong. You are bound. You are named. And now, you are undone. The light faded. Egbaragen's form scattered into ash, then wind, then silence. Tund collapsed. Smoke rose gently from his skin, his eyes rolled back. Araju knelt beside him, her strength nearly gone. She placed a hand on his heart. If he returns alone. A breath. A stillness. Then Tund coughed. His eyes blinked open. Brown. Human. The price Araju must pay. The dawn came slowly, like a child waking from a nightmare. The forest was still. No bird sang. No wind moved. It was as if the land itself was holding its breath. Tund lay in the sacred circle, breathing, barely. His skin was pale. His spirit frayed. Though Araju had driven the shadow out, its passage had torn holes in the veil between worlds. And those holes were still open. Araju stood slowly, leaning on her staff. Her eyes, once glowing, were dim now. Her voice was ragged when she spoke to the gathered villagers. The gate is not a door, it is a wound. And wounds, if left open, attract flies. She looked at Baba Ifa. We must seal it. Tonight. Or this place will never know peace again. The villagers gathered what was needed. The feathers of 3 white owls. The bark of the Iji oak tree, soaked in river salt. The bones of a forgotten ancestor, buried beyond the village line. A jar of silence, captured from the forest at dusk. Araju mixed these with her own blood and ash from Egbaragen's remains. She painted a wide circle around the sacred ground, whispering words that made the earth tremble. Then she turned to the villagers. None may cross this line when the sealing begins. Not even the pure of heart. Not even the innocent. If the gate senses your spirit, it may choose you. Even Tund, weak and dazed, was pulled from the circle and placed behind the salt line. As night fell again, the village stood in complete silence. No fire burned. No drum beat. Only Araju moved, slow, deliberate, chanting in a tongue that didn't belong to the living or the dead. She drew a sigil in the soil, a spiral with 3 broken lines through it. Then she stabbed her staff into the center. And the earth screamed. A rift opened, not wide, but deep, dark as night and endless as time. Whispers poured out, in voices too old to name. Images flickered across the air, people long gone, places never built, creatures of smoke and sorrow. Araju stood firm. Close, O wound. Sleep, O hunger. Forget this place. The spiral on the ground began to turn, by itself. The villagers held their breath as a wind rose, not from above, but from below, a wind that pulled at memories, at names, at dreams. Then Araju began to sing. A song not meant for human ears. A lullaby of the in-between. A melody that only spirits understood. And slowly, the rift began to seal. But something resisted. A shape tried to rise. It was not Egbaragen, this was older. Angrier. Something the shadow had served. Araju did not flinch. She pressed her palm to her heart and whispered a name. Her true name. A name no one had heard. A name that bound her soul to the work of light. And with that, she gave it up. The rift screamed. Then it closed. Just like that. No light. No sound. No explosion. Just silence. And Araju collapsed, her body crumpled beside her staff, eyes closed, lips parted in a final breath. Baba Ifa wept. Days passed. The forest began to breathe again. The birds returned, first a few, then flocks. Rain washed the sacred clearing clean, as though the land itself wished to forget. But Tund could not forget. He walked differently now, not as one burdened by fear, but as one who had seen too much. His eyes lingered on things others overlooked, the way the wind bent the grass, the hidden movements in the shadows of trees. When he spoke, he chose his words as if each one held power. Because now, they did. One morning, while tending the riverbank, Tund saw something in his reflection. His face, unchanged, yet just above his heart, beneath the skin, something pulsed faintly. Not the mark of death. A new mark. One of balance. Baba Ifa called it Aesioten, the seal of crossing. Only one in a generation ever bore it. You were claimed, the old man said. Then unclaimed. Now you are claimed again, by the boundary itself. What does that mean? Tund asked. It means you are no longer just a man. You are the bridge. The villagers watched him now, not with fear, but reverence. Children followed him. The sick came to him in silence. Dreams whispered his name. Animals no longer fled when he walked past. He felt Araju's staff calling to him, even buried where the ritual ended. One night, he stood over the clearing, moonlight painting his skin silver. The staff rose from the earth on its own, floating toward him. When he grasped it, the forest bowed. If I accept this, Tund said aloud, I will never be only human again. The wind answered, not with words, but with peace. He nodded. And so Tund became Onoeran, the walker between. Keeper of the sealed gate. Guardian of the boundary. No longer hunted. No longer haunted. He was now the watcher of what sleeps beneath. The sun had just dipped below the horizon. Shadows lengthened across the land like fingers stretching home. Tund walked alone, his staff silent, the forest parting gently around him. He returned to the place where Araju had fallen, now no longer a place of sorrow, but of stillness. A hill of earth covered in wildflowers, golden, violet, deep red. He knelt. There was no shrine, no carved stone. Araju would not have wanted it. But her spirit lingered, soft in the wind, warm in the soil, steady in the silence. He placed his hand to the ground, and felt a pull, not down, but inward. Beneath the roots, tucked inside the earth, lay something wrapped in thin cloth. He uncovered it, a scroll, ancient and lightless, until the moon touched it. Then the words began to glow. To the one who walks between. If you are reading this, then I did not survive. That is no tragedy. I was not sent to live forever. I was sent to stand in the place no one else would. But the gate you sealed was only one of many. There is another. Older. Hidden deeper. One day, it will open not from above or beyond, but from below. Beneath the roots. Beneath memory. A place where even the gods turn away. You will be asked to choose. Not to fight. Not to flee. But to open the gate yourself, and let the light in. Not all things that come from the dark are enemies. Some are exiled stars. Be ready. Araju, daughter of dust, keeper of names. Tund sat long after the stars had appeared. He did not speak. He did not cry. Instead, he listened, to the earth, to the trees, to the deep, slow breathing of the world. He traced Araju's final words again with his fingers. Some are exiled stars. He looked up at the sky, at one star that pulsed brighter than the rest. And in that moment, he made his vow. I will not be a gatekeeper of fear. I will be a bridge for what deserves to return. And far, far beneath the roots of the world, something ancient stirred. Not in hunger, but in hope.